أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome on Youth Matters with me, your host, Sakina Habib. Now, I'm not sure if you've probably heard about youngsters struggling today to find their path that aligns with their career, which is quite a rare one. I mean, if you do, you're one of the lucky ones. Now, here's a short story about someone I knew just a couple of years back who had a great passion in becoming a public speaker, a media specialist, and experimenting with creative tools. And she got shortlisted for the Young Journalist Award at the Dubai International Film Festival, where she interviewed international authors, filmmakers, journalists, artists, celebrities from different backgrounds in multilingual languages. Now, how many Muslim females work behind the cameras and do the post-production work? It's mostly the men, right? Why can't women do it? So today, alhamdulillah, the situations have improved and women are doing it as well, but we need more Muslim females in specific. Now, there was a twist, of course, that she did face taboo due to the society of how can a young female be working in such an environment, also interacting and dealing alongside with males in the workforce. But she was so focused on her goal that she received an Academic Excellence Award by her university for being the only hijabi female able to manage it all. So let me break the ice here. That girl is me, and I'm so passionate about what I do, and I yet aspire to improve and become much more than what I am today. Now, here's a few questions for you guys. What is your passion? What are your skills? Are you really good at something that you really want to turn into a career? And how are you aligning them with your career? So, inshallah, today we will be having two special guests on my show, and I'm so excited to have them over, because we will be discussing about what does it mean to find your path to make a career, and also how to align it with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and in godly ways, inshallah. So without much further ado, the two special guests who are joining me on my show are Sister Bira Hussain, a registered psychotherapist, very popularly known, and also our booming star right now, Brother Ali Riza Taimuri, and I would like to welcome both of them on board. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome on Youth Matters.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you both today?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. So I know it's morning for you guys, an early morning, but I'm so thankful to the both of you for taking your precious time out and joining us on today's program. We have a lot of things to discuss as the topic goes by. So inshallah, I'll be starting off with Sister Bira. Sister Bira, you are an expertise, mashallah, in your field of being a psychotherapist. And so my question to you would be that what does it mean to find your path to make a career from a psychotherapist's perspective?
So alhamdulillah, one of the very first interests that I had while I was a student studying to become a counselor was career counseling. I was one of the few that really found it engaging and interesting. Not a lot of people wanted that. They wanted to just help depressed people and anxious people, but I found this was really important to explore. And the idea behind that, and I soon learned and I saw that in practice as well, is that when you don't have an actual goal to work towards, then this can have a huge impact where you are in your life. So for example, when it comes to career path, if you don't have an idea of what it is that you want to do, what you want to be, then in this part of your life, perhaps as a student, you could be somewhat lost in the sense of feeling disoriented, feeling like something is off. You feel anxious and perhaps even have symptoms of depression in terms of feeling sad, like you don't know what's happening, you don't know what you want to do, you don't know what to do to get to what, So if you have this goal, and we find that when you have this goal, students tend to be more successful as well, overall, holistically. Yes. They're more engaged in their studies. They do academically well because they know that even though they hate the statistics course or this research course, what's the point of taking this course when I want to be, A, B, and C? What does this have to do with that? But it's also part of the degree. So when they know you need this to get to this, they're more likely to put effort, they're more motivated, they're more empowered, and then symptoms around feeling anxious or sad are not as high because they know you have this goal that you're going to get to despite these types of courses here that you don't enjoy. So this is one part. When you have that goal that you're working towards, then in this part of your life, you're going to be more successful all around, just balanced and happy, you could say, right? So this is one part. Now let's take a look at your abilities and skills with your education. You have a lot of young people and just mature students who come back later in life and say, you know what? I don't really enjoy computer science or engineering or, the direction to be a doctor. And this is common in our culture. You're either a doctor or an engineer, nothing in between, right? So sometimes you have people who have amazing skills, but they don't want to put it in this area because it's not interesting for them. They're good at it academically, but internally they're not balanced. They're not happy. This is not what they want to do. And I see this regularly in my work, even as a psychotherapist, because I used to do career counseling as well back in the day, and I really enjoyed it, helping students find what it is that they want to do or looking at how to align their skills and education to where they want to go. So when it's off, it's off. They're not doing well. So it's really important that if you can align your abilities, your interest, and your skills with what you're studying to get to that goal, you are going to be more successful academically. You are going to be more grounded and stable because you know what you're going towards and heading towards. This is an idea that we can apply in all areas of life, not just with academic careers. Like if you have a goal that you're going to work towards, then you look at the steps, what you need to get to that goal. So imagine if it aligns with something that you're interested in, you're more motivated and empowered, and you will most likely succeed.
Very well said. I actually totally agree with you on all the points that you've addressed. I would like to move on to Brother Ali Rida. Brother Ali Rida, of course, to what Sister Barak has spoken about, can you give an example of how you are doing such a thing in your own individual path? As in, first of all, tell us a little more about yourself. What are your interests and what path have you selected right now?
So I actually wanted to jump in once or twice as she was speaking, because I'm the perfect example, because I'm an engineer too. But so before I didn't really come to a conclusion in terms of if I want to pursue music at all in any level or not. So there was a point I put music aside, put my art aside completely, and didn't dedicate any time of my day to it, or week, or month. But after I finally came to the conclusion that I do want to bring this talent of mine on the paper of the book of my life, then I started making adjustments. So by then I had already started my degree in computer science, because I am good at it, and I've always been good at math since childhood, and that was something I knew about myself. So first I was trying to get into medical school because my father was a doctor.
You too?
Yeah, of course.
I think we all went on that path.
Yeah,
I think it just runs in the world. It just runs around the world. Like if there's a doctor father, then the children, like at least one has to become a doctor.
Especially if you're alone. I was the first child. I was the only child till I was 12. So yeah. So at first I was trying to get into medical school, and it wasn't working at all. Like no matter how much I studied, it was not working. So I wasn't even I think I wasn't even made for that. So all of my effort was being wasted, and I felt really not good enough because I was trying in the wrong path. Well, that was when I realized maybe I'm made for something else. That was when I looked back at coding, and I realized that coding has some sort of creativity and some sort of problem solving that it really matches my personality much more than medicals. So I decided to study computer science in Carleton University, and I was very good at it, much better than medicals. But then, as I became more honest with myself, that I don't want to leave my talent and my passion aside completely, I realized that I'm much better in music rather than medicals or engineering. I've always told I might be the best employee of a certain company and be able to solve all of their problems because I'm capable of it. But will it be fulfilling for me as a person? And the answer was obviously no, because when you finally find something that you are made for, you truly believe that this is what you are, what your prophecy is in this world, then it's hard to dedicate your life to something else. And I found that with music. I feel it's an outlet for me to be able to discover myself as a person and express myself. So right now I'm still in computer science. I've tweaked my schedule to part-time, and I'm taking two computer courses and one music course. So I've made some sort of balance in my university schedule as well. I find it really important that what's going on in your mind, you have to apply to your real life, otherwise you're going to suffer. So I try to apply that balance to my university courses. I took a really interesting music course, for example, alongside my two other computer courses, and I'm still experimenting to find that sweet spot where I can manage my art and my other skills as well, because it's unfair to say I'm not good at computers and I'm not interested in computers. When the music wasn't present, computers.
Yes. No, you were saying, you can continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'm still experimenting at that level to see how much of the computer studies I want to keep, and that part is going to be interesting in the future.
So you're stuck in that dilemma right now to make the right choice for which career should you really go into about. I think time will tell. As you will experience and mature, you'll figure it out. Now, I can see that you guys have a wonderful...
Yeah, I just want to add something you said, which was really important, that I didn't mention earlier, the fulfilling part. That fulfilling part, because when you look at success, again in career counseling, is it defined through success? Is it defined through your happiness? And so what is happiness defined? Is it through fulfillment of the job or what you're doing, or is it money? And so this is a question we ask people. So what is your fulfillment? Where does it come from? Making money or happiness from the career or the work that you're doing? And if that, so everyone to each their own, but then in the end, you find most people tend to go with what fulfills them, even if, let's say, they're not making as much money, right? And so important what Ali said, which was, if you are not feeling like, if you're not doing well academically, then you're going to feel like you're not good enough, right? That then impacts your self-esteem, which then could lead again to what we said earlier, the anxiety and the depression and the worry about the future. What am I going to do? So it's all interconnected, and he explained it so beautifully on what he's experimenting and trying to figure out in his journey right now. Yeah.
Now, my next question is that I can see you guys have prepared this really beautiful setup today. Could you talk us a little on that and tell us that how did your paths cross to do such a thing, such a project at the same time? So this is a question for the both of you, so you guys can answer.
How far?
So I'll just quickly say how we connected, and it's actually through his sister, believe it or not, who goes to the same school as Mina, my daughter. And so both Ali Raza and his mother reached out to me through social media asking about, how to find mentor programs for young girls and so on and so forth, and just the back and forth like that. And then they invited me over to Yasamin, who's the young connector, you could say, to her taklif party. And so this is something that was really beautiful when we came and honored her wearing the hijab, and lots of friends and family were there, and it was lovely. And so we connected that day, and then Ali was like singing Mawalid, and I'm like, huh? Hold on a second. This young man has amazing talent. He's playing the piano, and Jasmina also was singing while he just improv, like he was playing the piano, and I was just taken aback about the talent. And so they would have gatherings with people in the community where they do like Nahj al-Balagha nights, and I connected with friends here as well that I know, and so it just became natural to kind of hang out and at these gatherings of spirituality, music in a different way, because we technically in our faith, everybody has the idea that music is haram. But when you look at it closer, depending which path and marja'iyah that you follow, also the intent behind how you use it, it's not, right? So it was interesting to see how we're using music in a beautiful way with nasheeds and honoring Allah and the Ahlul Bayt, salam Allah alayhim, and it was such a beautiful mix of bringing emotions out. So I've always been interested in poetry and the arts. That's another side of me, my creative outlet. Even though I do psychotherapy, I love doing that. And so it just kind of naturally fell into place. So whenever we come to these gatherings, Ali would start, playing or reciting or singing, and Maulud al-Nabi, and just the beautiful occasions. The one night I took out the one Imam Ali poem, and he was playing it, and that kind of, I think, started something there, because he would listen to the words and just play it according to the thoughts and the emotions and the imagery of the poem for honoring Imam Ali alayhi salam. And it was such a hit, like everybody loved it, they were recording it, and it just, I think that's kind of where it kind of started, right? Yeah. And then of course, as we spoke about from our last session, we went to Iraq, that we had ideas, because we were already recording things before we went to Iraq, and then it just kind of grew when I came back, and he did that beautiful recitation you heard last time, the Man Biduna Ta, and then we started working on another one immediately. So that's my version of how it started. Oh, your version is, but
how this all started goes way back
for him. Yeah, but the part where we intersected was this part here.
Exactly. Yeah, that was accurate, but how these whole equipment came into my room, that's a very long story. Well,
what's the short version of you creating the studio?
The short version is, even if you take a look at pictures from when I was 1 year old, you're going to see the guitar.
Okay. So always having a musical instrument around.
I'm this size, and the guitar is like twice my size. And so my dad was into music way before I ever existed. He used to perform on stage in university, and also he could play the guitar. So it's safe to say that I got to know music through my dad's expression of himself through music, and I started singing along with my dad whenever he did, and he didn't stop me from singing with him. And that's how my voice got better and better. And at some point, his friends were telling him that we feel that Ali is singing better than you. And that was where my dad slowly moved to the side, and I was the center of attention in all the gatherings. But the technical parts, around 4 years ago, I started building up the courage to reach out to professional people. So I started texting some producers who have worked with famous artists from Iran, and some didn't answer. One of them answered, and that person helped me step by step what to buy, what not to buy, what to do, what not to do, and where to start, where to download your stuff. Every single step I asked him, and he helped me. And it's very interesting that soon we're going to be collaborating professionally with the same person after 4 years of me getting to know all the technical side of the industry and those stuff. So yeah, now we're here.
Yeah, so now let's understand about how can we motivate the youths into looking at their own skills, their passions and talents, their education, their career, potentially in the khidmah of the Ahlul Bayt, and how can they develop it to align with their career path. But then I'm sure everybody goes through different challenges. So also looking at the challenges, and I think Sister Barak, you can perhaps share your personal experiences of facing challenges to getting to where you are now.
It's a long story, but I'm going to condense it. So it started out similarly to Ali Reza's story, which is me being the eldest in my family, my dad being a doctor of physics. I was expected to be Doctora Barak, right? And I was heading towards that. I was very young. I was always called Doctora Barak, Doctora Barak. And so I was heading in that direction, pre-med, in high school. I started getting anxiety attacks out of nowhere and fainting because, yeah, I see your face, Sakina, but that was the reality. It was that extreme because I was under so much stress to achieve high marks when I went into the higher grades. And I wasn't taking breaks. I wasn't taking courses that I enjoyed. It was so much pressure that I actually had an anxiety attack in an algebra class and was taken to the hospital and going from test to test to test from a specialist to see what's wrong with me. And it was simply, and one doctor figured it out. Dr. Khan, who was of the Southeast Asian descent, looked at my body language and my dad and told him, back off. You're putting too much pressure on her. My dad, bless him, his intent was to motivate me and push me in the direction of excellence. Problem was, he didn't look at it from how a holistic approach. His approach was back home, which is you get 100% in your courses, then you get to go to medical school. That's how it works in Iraq, for example. He grew up like that. But here, in this part of the world, it's not like that. It's the holistic approach. Not only do you need good grades, but you also need interpersonal skills, how to work with people, volunteer hours, etc., etc. All of these things which show you to be a well-rounded person. I had all that except for the brains for physics and biology and organic chemistry. And it was such a struggle in high school. So how do I become a doctor if I'm not good at this? And a medical student who went to our school came to visit us and was talking about medical school. And he introduced the idea of, hey, you don't need to be in biology to apply to medical school. Take any courses, background, and take the pre-medical courses. That's it. So naturally, I was drawn I remember as a teenager, I was drawn to listening to my friends and their problems and their challenges. I was always the ear for them, but I'd get so emotional with their challenges. And I'd really cry when I come home and tell my mom, this person had this problem. She's like, how are you supposed to help people if you don't toughen up a little bit? So it made sense to go into psychology because I really enjoyed the sociology, language arts, and so on. And I was good at them. I was competing in public speaking competitions as a kid in French, the third language that we have here in Canada. And I was good at that skill. That's the one skill my dad really encouraged me with, and I was really good at it. And naturally, I did other stuff with that. So fast forward, university, I took a psych program with science courses. So here you're aligning what you want to go towards with something that you're good at. But I still wasn't doing well. My actual psych degree was suffering because of all the science electives. And usually in first year, I don't know if you saw this, first year science courses, you have 400 empowered wannabe doctors. By the time the first year is over, there's only a handful of us left. I made it past second year. And then I decided in third year, when I was really struggling, kind of like where Ali is right now, I said, I am not going to apply for medical school, because although I've done volunteer hours, I've worked in the cancer ward with kids, I've been working at the career service at my university, I know it just didn't feel right. But it's what my father wanted of me, what the family expectation, what the society expectation at that time was, because my dad groomed me to be Dictora Barak. Now, I had to make a choice. Do I apply for medical school, or I found another path which still aligns with ultimately what I wanted to do, because my goal in the end was to help people. I knew that. How? This was the part right there. So while I was working as a job search assistant at the career services at University of Ottawa, I went to a workshop talking about the counseling program. And so my boss told me to go to it to get information to give to our students who are coming to us. Little did I know that, subhanAllah, Allah was guiding me in that direction to find out for myself that this is what I'm supposed to do. Because as soon as I went in there, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I was so excited about it. And so I made that decision. Applying to medical school, I will apply to this graduate studies of counseling. And the rest is history, because after I went down that path, everything fell into place. My grades immediately went up because I finished with the pre-medical courses. I didn't need them anymore. Alhamdulillah, I steered my direction, all of my skills, my volunteer, all of that around getting into the grad school. And I did, alhamdulillah. When I went in there, I specialized in spiritual and Islamic counseling because that didn't exist. And so my graduate thesis based on Islamic counseling theories and practice, that my own professor told me, you know what, you need to research this, because I looked at the West and East and he skipped the middle. He goes, you're researching that. So going into that got me to where I am today, meaning specializing in this area, which didn't exist back then, now is a whole other field, subhanAllah, in Muslim mental health and counseling and so on and so forth, where I could say, you know, back then it was very vague and ambiguous, and it caused a lot of anxiety. What do I want to do? But then when you kind of know what you want to do, things fall into place, and Allah, subhanAllah, pushes you in that direction. And in my specific situation, it was an actual literal push in that direction, because I focused my studies and research on that. And then years later, actually put it into practice when I was the psychotherapist in my university, specializing with international students, which are all sorts of faiths, right? And in my practicum and so forth, I specialize in that area by working in a multicultural environment which encouraged faith-based. And so I got a chance to talk about Islamic counseling practices, how to counsel Muslim students of different faith. And then so you see the path now, how I went into. As soon as social media became, you know, doing live, I started doing what I was already doing before into that. So you see from this lived experience how important it is that you can feel off track, you don't feel good, you actually can feel sick and get mental health issues, which is a normal common thing. And when you're under a lot of stress, your body can't handle it. But then when you slowly, you know, ask for divine inspiration and support, and when you have the support from your family, my dad didn't like it, by the way, at first. And this is common, that our families will say, no, just go this path. But then, mashallah, now he's really supportive of what I do. And so this is something, you know, I say to a lot of people, find something that sparks your interest, something that you're good at. See how you can combine it, because ultimately as Muslims and as Shia Muslims, what is our purpose? Is to serve the Imam of our time. Ultimately, that's our end goal, right? And how to get into the akhirah in a good place, right? Like, how do you work towards that path? If this is part of your end goal and submission to God, everything else, you can work towards that, and it can be so much more spiritually fulfilling. I love what I do as a psychotherapist, but to be able to engage the spiritual aspect, and especially, let's say, when I'm talking about the Ahlul Bayt, salam alayhim, and how empowering and inspiring they can be for us, what better feeling than that? And Ali and I had deep discussions about that when we were doing our work, or when we were ziyarah in Iraq, to be able to encompass that passion and include them, especially as our inspiration for strength and, you know, work through difficulties. That feeling you get right here, there's nothing like it. You know, whether I'm doing the speaking and the teaching and the therapy, I get such a beautiful high, or Ali Rida, as you're going to hear in a bit, and watch, by the way, watch how Ali gets into his work, like the art that he does, how he expresses himself. And I think a lot of artists can connect with that, not necessarily with just music, but anything you're passionate with. You lose all sense of time, you lose all sense of space, because you're so into it, and it doesn't feel like work. It does not feel like
True.
work. It feels like joy. You're so happy doing it. Sorry, long answer to a very important question, but I think it answers every aspect of it.
Yes, I think you did. And now let's move on to the excitement segment of the day. Are you guys ready? So I can see that you guys have put up a really nice setup. If you could tell us a little about.
This is Ali's studio. It's his actual studio.
It's amazing, honestly. So I know that you guys have this really beautiful project that you guys want to share with all our viewers today. I saw it myself and I loved it. And let's break the ice and see the performance. So inshallah, whenever you guys are ready, you can start.
Bismillah. We'll always obviously begin with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Let's go turn on the microphone.
Yes. So we're just going to get things.
وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
So while Ali's doing that, I'll just quickly explain it. So Ali had this in mind a long time ago. He had the sound, the music, and to the words, which is a very famous poem by an Iranian poet. The name?
Ghulam Reza Sazigar.
So these words are actually this poet's words. But Ali, with his ability, when he hears words, he can put it into sound. So he put it into the sound. And because we'd already started working on other things before, we got the poem translated into English and Arabic. As I was reciting the English one, I told him, why don't we do this in Arabic? Because the words are so powerful. So we got it translated by a poet friend of mine, Sister Nisreen Trad. And she executed the Arabic because she's got very good Arabic poetry. And so we combined it. So in the creative process, whether you're writing poetry or music, sometimes you have an idea, but as soon as you start developing it and get into it, things change along the way. And so this is what was happening here. So as we were creating this incredible piece of art, it just developed more and more. And of course, Ali, being the perfectionist that he is in his work, mashallah, he set himself a deadline and worked towards it night and day. Do you remember when he said in the last one, he, like 28 hours, he didn't sleep. He was just working on that piece. Yeah. He was only at this for 2 weeks after we did the recording. And you hear, and you've heard it on YouTube, and inshallah, you'll hear it at the end here. Every single sound that you hear, Ali created that sound. Whether it's the different instruments. And I was watching why I'm so, excitedly talking about this, because I saw part of the process where he was creating sounds with the harp or the guitar or the piano or just the ambience that you hear in the background. So every single part, you could say, was custom made to this beauty that you're going to hear today, which is another expression. Can I bring this down a bit? Which is an expression of love towards, through Allah, through Imam Ali, and the Ahlul Bayt.
Your voice is going to be unclear.
So, okay, it's just because it's completely blocking my face. So this is the kind of setup that, when you're trying to get something, you have to play.
I know, don't worry, take your time. I'm really excited.
Yeah. You ready?
It's good. We just want to make sure that you also get to hear this in a beautiful way. It's going to be loud.
Yeah.
It's going to be excellent.
Yeah. I'm really excited and eager.
We released it on the occasion of Milad Sayyidah Fatima salam Allah alayha, who is the wife of Imam Ali, the mother of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And what a better way to express that love and beauty, but through love and beauty in the words, poetry, and sound, of course, of music, right? So we're almost ready?
Yes.
You know what's funny is that I've always written poetry when I was young, and I was fascinated by music, but we had such a bad rap against music. It's haram, that didn't really explore it very well. But then when you notice, like the last few years, there's been such an interesting incorporation of sound into anashid and latmiyas that it was so nice to be able now to actually work with somebody who understands it and understands the art, but taking words. Like Ali has seen some of my poetry and he immediately has lyrics in his head. And so inshallah, moving forward, we're going to be really excited to share this with you as well. Tamam? Yalla. Bismillah.
Yeah, so you need to get a bit closer to the mic when you're reciting. Take 1, 2.
See, this is the tech stuff I don't get, but you gotta trust somebody who knows what they're doing with it.
No problem, right. No problem. It's fine. I understand.
Ready?
Sir.
جدا شدم از کوی تو خدا نکنم
Me separating from your path, God forbid, God forbid. انفصلوا عن طريقك لا سمح الله لا سمح الله.
خدا حرام چه کند از تو هم جدا نکنم.
Whatever God wills, may He never separate me from you. مهما شاء الله فلا يفصلني عنك.
جواب ناله دلهای خسته بر لب تو.
The answer to the cries of the tired hearts is on your lips. الجواب على صرخات القلوب المتعبة على شفتيك.
که را صدا کند آن کو تو را صدا نکند.
Who shall they call? Those who do not call upon you. بمن ينادون إذا لم ينادونك.
کسی که خاتم خود را دهد به دشمن خود چگونه از کرم خود نگه به ما نکند.
The one who gave his jewel to his enemy, how won't he look at us with his generosity? الذي أعطى جوهرة لعدوه كيف لا ينظر إلينا بكرمه.
گذشت کشیدم دو جهان آستی که دولت عشق مرا به جز در این آستان گدا نکنم.
I pulled my hands back from both worlds as the nation of love makes me a beggar of no other door but this sanctuary. سحبت يدي من العالمين كما وطن الحب لا يسعني أن أتوسل أي باب سوى حرمك.
گذشت عمر و اجل هر زد به دور سرم.
Life has passed me by and death is awaiting me. مرتني الحياة والموت ينتظرني.
بمیرم نروم کربلا خدا نکنه.
I die and not go to Karbala. God forbid, God forbid.
تو درد دادی و تو طبیب درد منی به جز تو درد مرا هیچ کس دوا نکنه.
You gave pain, and yet you are the healer to my pain. No one except you can cure my pain. أنت تتألم ومع ذلك فأنت المعالج لألمي. لا أحد غيرك يستطيع أن يعالج ألمي. أحسنتم.
Ahsantum, mashallah. That was a beautiful performance and what a lovely masterpiece. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to come out this good, like live, from the studio. But mashallah, the vocals and the way the music was played was amazing. Like, mashallah, you are really talented, Brother Ali Rada. It was so touching. And mashallah, Barak, what can I say? You are already so good at everything. Everything touched my soul so much. The lyrics, the way it was composed, the poetry. I'm very thankful to the both of you for coming up with this idea and for sharing it with everybody. Ahsantum. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your efforts.
Thank you so much. Bless you. You know, we've had such amazing feedback, especially because it's trilingual, right? And that's the thing that I don't think we've seen, other languages together, but not in a way where it's both singing and poetry and, customized music like that, and in languages that a lot of people can connect with. It's been really exciting to watch this grow.
Yeah.
Especially since each of the languages cover the whole lyrics.
Yes, like each language actually captures the beauty of the words of the poet, and I think we can all relate to it as lovers of the Ahlul Bayt. How can you not connect with that? And especially like people would say things at the end like, I die and not go to Karbala. This had people weeping, especially the ones who haven't gone and the ones who've gone and die in ashq to go again. Because once you go, and both you and the Sister Fatima were telling me that they have this really beautiful latmiya, and I'll paraphrase, how painful is it for the one who hasn't gone to Karbala, who hasn't visited? Painful, they haven't seen it. But how much more painful is it for the one who has gone? Because you know what you're missing, right? Yeah. I think this is where
really the fusion of languages, and it gives a very universal feeling, the way you said, Barak, like really everybody can connect with it. So thank you so much. I thank the both of you for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's program. And I hope that all our viewers actually must have enjoyed today's program because it was from a different approach, from a different angle. And I think, such topics really need to be discussed because, youths are really, finding their career and their paths. I mean, they're struggling to understand what the right path is. So we need to delve into such topics, for everybody's betterment. So thank you, Brother Ali Rallah, and thank you,
Thank you.
Sister Bara. Once again, thank you so much for joining on today's program. I thank you with all my heart.
Bless you,
Bless you.
sister. Bless you. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, viewers, for joining me on today's program. We will be concluding and wrapping today's program. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's session. It was something new and exciting, and inshallah, we'll be bringing such more exciting episodes very soon. This is your host, Sakina Habib, signing off. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.